Predatory advertising, a practice grounded in the manipulation of consumers to sell them products, is rampant in all forms of marketing. Mathematicians can use algorithms to determine an individual's preferences and desires. Companies use predatory data mining tactics to expose a consumer's tastes, and will use this data to target advertisements toward specific people. Often, they take advantage of a want or insecurity in the individual and offer a solution to remedy whatever problem they may be facing. If an advertiser can target those who are struggling, they can profit off them all the easier. As algorithms have become more advanced, companies have been able to utilize them to streamline their advertising campaigns and processes. By using user data that's collected invisibly and unnoticeably, companies like Meta and Twitter can create their advertisements to be tailored to the individual, which increases the likelihood of the ad being clicked on. Another tactic companies like Juul and fast food companies use is advertising harmful products in ways they know will be appealing to the consumer. In San Francisco and the greater state of California, fast food companies as well as Twitter, Meta, and Juul use consumer data collected in a way that obfuscates their methods and intentions to target consumers with predatory advertisements that will appeal to them based on the data collected. This affects not only users of the internet in general, but also specific communities such as youth and low-income neighborhoods. The combination of offline and online data, how companies target advertisements. Meta, the parent company to Facebook and Instagram, uses online behavioral advertising to target people with ads that will interest them. Facebook purchases offline data from users from about 6 companies, including Axiom, Epsilon, and Oracle Data Cloud. They're able to find out the user's gender, economic status, and purchasing habits through the like feature. Similarly, cookies, files installed on a user's computer that can track their activity, are used to collect user preferences. Not just Facebook, but almost every website installs and uses cookies. The cookies gather data to build a profile on the user. Using this profile, companies can buy ad space in real time based on what they think will appeal to the user. No humans are used to determine which ads should be placed where, with that being left up to the algorithm. Programmatic advertising, or determining what specific audience an advertiser is targeting to make the advertisement the most relevant, is also rampant. To do this effectively, advertisers bring in offline data as well. Data from the real world is onboarded, and offline purchasers are connected to a digital user profile to create a comprehensive picture of the consumer. The most accurate ads utilize a combination of offline and online data to create an accurate prediction of what the user will click on. Facebook even used to advertise to people based on race and ethnicity. Until 2017, Facebook had a feature that allowed advertisers to exclude or include different ethnic affinities. Since this is very illegal, Facebook changed its policy, but that doesn't discount the fact that this was a feature for several years.
Facebook's most valuable asset is how well it knows you. Every post you like, every page you follow, every friend you make tells Facebook a bit more about who you are and, more importantly, what you buy or who you might vote for. Last year, Facebook made 98% of its revenue on advertising. That's $39.9 billion. Advertisers pay for those personal insights to make sure their messages reach the right audience.
Social media companies are using user data, often without the express consent of the user, to determine what ads to show them. This constitutes a violation of privacy and raises the question of whether or not companies should be allowed to gather and use data in this way. Is it ethical to promote advertisement one knows the user will want to click on? Should consumers be grateful for the streamlined advertisement process, or should they be horrified at the breach of privacy they're being subjected to? In a study of San Franciscan youth's perception of Juul's vape devices, it was found that Juul advertisers were able to trick people into thinking there are positive benefits to using vape devices, and mostly tried to appeal to a younger demographic. Supposed health benefits are also explained by the participants, showing that young adults in San Francisco are being shown false information relating to the health hazards of vaping and e-cigarettes. Aesthetic, nicotine delivery, and convenience are all marketed factors of Juul devices and encourage use of them. The participants mostly did not realize that they were addicted to nicotine. Advertisements of these Juul products did not go into depth of just how harmful and addictive they can be. Consumers can subconsciously welcome the target advertisements, as it makes what ads they see more relevant to their interests. For some, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks in terms of what ads they see and how those ads find them. However, this doesn't take away from the fact that these ads are harmful. Juul knowingly created an algorithm that would invade youth spaces and promote their nicotine products.
Juul has taken over about 70% of the e-cigarette retail market share. It's now worth about $16 billion, and that success is often attributed to its sleek design. But the same features that make Juul a well-engineered product also make it attractive to young people, many of whom have never smoked before. And that has people worried, because devices like Juul might be designed to help smokers get off cigarettes, but they're also addicting a new generation to nicotine.
While Juul is aware of the dangers of their products, they will do anything to prevent their target audience from realizing these dangers. Their tactics, marketing aesthetic and convenience in a way that appeals to youth, once again raise an ethical question. Should companies be allowed to advertise products in a way that obscures their dangerous qualities? A key stakeholder in this issue is the youth themselves, as they're being targeted in a way that takes advantage of their behavior and blind spots. To protect the youth, who are particularly vulnerable to products that are addictive, advertisements that obfuscate the dangers of addiction should be banned. A study of San Francisco neighborhoods found that unhealthy products are disproportionately marketed to poor communities and communities of color, increasing their risk of disease and health problems. They conducted their research by walking 192 blocks of San Francisco and Oakland and observing the characteristics of the food advertisements and the neighborhood they were walking. They observed almost 1,000 advertisements and made determinations of which ones were healthy and which were unhealthy, and cross-referenced it with the neighborhood demographics. The lower income a neighborhood is, the higher chance they have of having unhealthy branded advertisements. There is a disparity between what neighborhoods have unhealthy branded advertisements in San Francisco and Oakland. The lower income a neighborhood gets, the greater chance there is of unhealthy advertisements. While race demographics did not play a significant role in the type of advertisement, the more Hispanic or Latino a neighborhood is, the higher chance it will have of advertising unhealthy products.
The ABC7 News I-Team found it's one of 171 low-income neighborhoods that have low food access across the San Francisco metro area, the most reported in Alameda County.
I gotta walk about 2 or 3 miles to get food, yeah.
Natasha Hardman lives in Oakland off 14th Street. We profiled her last year. Since our story, the Alameda County Community Food Bank added food distribution sites to areas known to be food deserts, now offering a total of 400 sites across the county.
A food desert is defined by the USDA as an area where at least 1/3 of the area's population is living more than half a mile from the closest grocery store. In San Francisco, over 600 neighborhoods have been identified as food deserts. Fast food companies are aware of this and strategically place advertisements for cheap, unhealthy food in these neighborhoods. Companies not only use personal data to target advertisements, they use demographic and geographic data as well. How does the average consumer avoid getting taken advantage of? The FTC has regulated advertising somewhat, with a policy in place that requires companies that collect data to include a detailed privacy policy for the user to read and acknowledge. However, this usually leads to companies with extremely long and difficult to understand privacy policies that are not read by the user. In the United States, there's no one law that regulates privacy both offline and online. Instead, there's a tangle of federal and state laws that cover the issue, with some of them overlapping and contradicting each other. Some include S. 1158, the Consumer Privacy Protection Act, H.R. 2092, the Student Digital Privacy and Parental Rights Act, and S. 668, Data Broker and Accountability and Transparency Act. Furthermore, Section 5 of the FTC broadly prohibits unfair or deceptive acts or practices in or affecting commerce. Generally, the laws apply to all processing of personally identifiable information, or PIIs. Online browsing, can, should, and may companies combine offline and online data to learn about you, mentions that, quote, opt-in consent is required to collect sensitive data, whether it is PII or not. PII is defined to include names, address, telephone numbers, email addresses, financial account numbers, government-issued identifiers, and any other data used or intended to be used to identify, contact, or precisely locate a person, unquote. There are laws that regulate companies' retentions of PIIs. The same source says that the Network Advertising Initiative, or NAI, code defines online behavioral advertising as any process used where data is, quote, collected across multiple web domains owned or operated by different entities to categorize likely consumer interest segments for use in advertising online, unquote. The NAI code regulates that websites must be clear about 6 types of information in relation to online behavioral advertising. They must be transparent about ad delivery, the types of user data collected by the website, how that data will be used, including if it's going to be transferred to other parties, the types of personally identifying information and non-PII being used, how to opt out of data collection, and how long the data will be retained by the website. As most United States citizens aren't as concerned about data privacy as Europeans, there likely won't be a push for more regulations around what companies are allowed to do with their data. While ultimately the user is the one who decides how much data they give to companies, sometimes one doesn't have a choice but to consume advertisements. By avoiding using Meta products or steering clear of Twitter, one can avoid giving their data away. But those who live in areas with billboards or posters cannot avoid the world of advertisements. The most one can do is research their products before buying them, taking into consideration why they might have been marketed to them and why they're appealing.